We're starting the last month of meteorological autumn, so let's have a quick look back at October, particularly for rainfall. It was a warm, rather dull month, but there was plenty of rain around, and you can see many parts of the UK here from our radar estimated map, above average rainfall-wise. Just a few pockets here and there. We see the browns just a little bit below average, but most places were above, and in particular Cumbria really grabbing the headlines during the last week or so, especially Honister Pass, with an exceptional amount of rain over a couple of days or so. In fact, when you look at the top three most significant rainy spells that they've had at Honister Pass, you can see it comes in third place late October this year, 396 millimetres of rain in 57.5 hours. It doesn't quite beat these other two events, but these will be remembered, I think, for a lot of flooding issues that we had in 2009 and 2015. Thankfully this year, yes, there was some flooding, but nowhere near as bad as we have seen it in previous years. And part of that will be because of reinforced flood defences, but also because it's been incredibly dry really in this part of the UK over the last few months. So in some ways some much needed rain, but just too much in a short space of time. Now the jet stream at the moment, we've got this trough, this digging down of the jet stream here. So that's some quite cold air high up in the atmosphere, and that's bringing us some showery conditions really for the next couple of days. It will continue to hang around until the end of the week, but actually notice the jet stream lifting north a bit here. So we get a ridge building in as we go into Friday and Saturday. Gradually that topples to the south, and then we see more active jet coming back in again off the Atlantic as we head through the weekend. So the weather's a bit topsy-turvy at the moment, unsettled at first, becoming a bit drier, and then more unsettled again by the weekend. So for Wednesday, we've got this northerly flow developing. Now with fairly slack winds in the southeast, we could see some locally dense fog patches here and a frost first thing on Wednesday morning. But through the day, these showers will filter their way southwards. They'll be wintry on some of the hills in Scotland. And there'll be quite a few showers, I think, through the day on Wednesday, especially along these coasts where you've got that exposure to that northerly wind. The breeze picking up Wednesday night into Thursday. In fact, we could see some gusts down the North Sea of about 40 miles an hour or so. But eventually this ridge will topple in. So I think by Friday, a lot of places dry. There is this very weak warm front in here that will slip through. A bit more cloud, maybe the odd spot of rain with that. But generally speaking, dry Friday and for much of Saturday in the south and east. But the next low coming in with more wind and rain pushing into the northwest here. So increasingly unsettled. And this front will continue to track its way southeast as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday, albeit weakening as it does so. So there are some showers around to watch out for this week, and then some patchy rain coming in by the weekend as well. And the best way to keep on top of all of that is to follow WQRadar, because here you can see those showers and the bands of rain crossing the country, how close they are to you. You can also see if some of them are producing lightning as well. And actually for the first year, we're giving you almost half price discount if you use the discount code HARVEST when you sign up. So head to wqradar.co.uk. You can find out much more information on what's on offer on there in the days and weeks to come. A very handy tool if you're doing a lot of outside work. Now for Sunday, as I say, that front will move through. So this is the dregs of that front by sort of lunchtime on Sunday. Bit of uncertainty about the timing, but in general, a weak front, a little bit of patchy rain in the south first thing, clearing away. And then this high pressure is building in. So most places becoming generally settled on Sunday, but with weak fronts pushing more rain, patchy rain into western Scotland through the day. But overall, a fairly quiet day of weather after what will be quite a blustery spell of weather late Saturday and into Saturday night. And then into next week, it looks like this high pressure will start to retreat again into Europe, and this next low out west will start to come in off the Atlantic. And really a lot of next week there's a bit of a battle going on between the high pressure to the southeast and the low pressure to the northwest, and these will dominate through the week as to which one's pretty much in charge across the UK. So at first we'll have high pressure close to the southeast, keeping things here relatively settled, but early next week already wind and rain coming into the northwest. And then it seems towards midweek that high will weaken just a little bit, and it will allow these fronts to come a bit further south and east for a time during the middle part of the week, but much weaker features. And then towards the end of the week and into next weekend, there are signs that the high pressure might build back in again, and again restricting that rain back to the northwest once more. So there is a bit of uncertainty about the specific detail next week, but that's the general vibe. The middle part of the week has the greatest risk of more widespread rain. The beginning and the latter part of the week generally a bit dry towards the southeast, but really in that setup throughout that week there will be rain at times in the north and west and some strong winds. And we could see some further quite significant rain in some parts of the northwest hills of the UK as well. So that is something to bear in mind through that week. Now this plot here shows the mean sea level pressure at Bedford from an ensemble forecast. So each of these grey lines here, they're a different computer model. The red line is the average of all of those. And this black dashed line, that's the average sea level pressure for this time of the year. And what you'll see on this is actually a lot of the time, the pressure is actually above average. So November is notoriously quite a stormy month sometimes, and there's no real sign of any major deep lows with very strong winds coming in, especially in the southeast, as you can see. A lot of the time pressure is actually above average over the next 10 days or so. So we've got that rise in pressure coming in for a time this weekend. This little dip here as that front comes through Saturday night, and then the pressure rises again for Sunday. So a lot of high pressure generally in charge here. Then there is a bit of a slide midweek. Now there is quite a bit of spread here, so that just highlights the uncertainty from midweek onwards, but hints that the pressure will lower a little bit, and that might allow more in the way of some patchy showery rain to come in from the Atlantic during that time frame. And then there are signs, very weak signs, but signs nonetheless, that the pressure might rise again as we head towards next weekend. Now you can see the spread is pretty large here between these members. Some of them have some deepish lows coming in, but you know, these are the minority here. And some actually have quite strong high pressure building in as well. So the second half of next week a bit uncertain, but on balance pressure still above average. So it's not looking like being massively unsettled, but there could be a little bit of rain around in places. And obviously it's a bit too early really to iron out that detail at this stage. Another way to look at it is the chance of a dry day. Again, it's looking at all of those computer models and calculating how many of them have got wet weather in them, how many of them are dry. So if you're looking for dry weather, you want some of these brown colours here essentially. And again, there's some green showing up initially, especially for the coastal areas. Norwich down here, you can see Wednesday and Thursday with those showers coming in off the North Sea, a chance it will be quite wet at times on those 2 days. But broadly speaking, once we get through to the early part of next week, it's more or less the same sort of pattern with the northwest here, seeing most of the green colours, the higher chance of getting some rain at times. And there are more brown, high chances of a dry day in the south. Now, if this was a prolonged dry spell, we would see lots of brown, lots of these VHs, dark brown showing here. So this is not going to be a prolonged dry spell by the looks of things. There will still be some rain at times, but on balance, I think considering what you can get at this time of the year, it isn't looking too bad with some reasonable dry weather interspersed with some occasional weakening fronts coming in from the west or the northwest. So quite a bit of high-ish pressure around over the next few weeks. And that sort of shows up here in our broader view across Europe. This is heading through the middle of November now, and you can see that higher than average pressure across much of Europe extending into the UK. In the northwest, still quite unsettled potentially with those fronts coming in, but further southeast where you're closer to the high pressure, generally speaking, things will be a bit drier. So drier than average here, not completely dry, but not as wet as it will be across the northwest of the UK by the looks of things. And the position of the high pressure is crucial in determining what sort of temperatures we could see. So last week, Fred was talking about the potential for some rather chilly conditions. This week, with the latest data and a high to the east of the UK, that draws more of a south or southeasterly flow in. So in theory, temperatures in that setup would end up being above average rather than below. But again, the position of the high is key, because if the high position shifts a bit further west, we might end up tapping into more of a northerly flow, and that could take us back into cooler conditions again. Nonetheless. And even though these maps are showing above average temperatures for a 7-day period, it's still likely within that you could get 2 or 3 cold days like we're seeing this week, for example. And then by week 4, so this is heading towards the latter part of November, obviously a long way away at this stage, but there are signs that high pressure becomes a bit more centered further west, and that would allow more of that northerly flow to develop, so perhaps something a bit colder towards the end of the month. But as I say, it is several weeks away at this stage. And again, rainfall wise, near or below average again. So again, there's no sign of any major stormy, very unsettled weather. There will be some rain, but it will generally be in the northwest most of the time, and quite a bit of dry weather to be had further south and east. So just to summarise all that then, cloudy and colder for a time this week with some showers coming in from the North Sea. Some overnight frosts around as well, some places getting below freezing on several nights this week. And then it turns a little bit milder actually by the weekend as westerly winds come in, generally changeable with some rain in the north and west. And the further southeast you are, the drier the conditions will tend to be really for the next couple of weeks by the looks of things. And as I said, temperature is hugely dependent on the position of that high pressure, and that won't really be ironed out until a little bit closer to time. So we'll take things as they come over the next few weeks, but that gives you a broad idea of how things are looking through the rest of November. And if you want the latest day-by-day forecast as ever, you can head on to our social media. Bye for now.